Okay, let's go over this handout of trig functions and applications. It says, Miss O'Leary's cat is stuck in her backyard tree. A fireman positions a ladder against the tree branch and rescues the cat. The ladder was extended to 22 feet and it made an angle of 62 degrees with the ground. What is the cat's vertical height? So 22 feet is our ladder. And then this angle of elevation is 62 degrees. And we are looking for how tall the cat is up in the tree. So our reference angle is going to be opposite and hypotenuse, so that is sine. So the sine of 62 degrees is equal to x over 22. We're going to cross multiply. And x is isolated, so we can just use our calculator and punch in 22 times sine of 62, and we get 19.4. And that is in feet. Number 2, from the top of the barn, a pigeon spies a pile of birdseed on the ground. The angle of depression is 38. So this is going to be 38 degrees. The height of the barn is 28 feet. So find the distance from the pigeon to the seed. So here's the pigeon, here's the seed. So we're looking for this distance. So we can subtract 38 from 90 and get this measurement, or we can remember that this angle and the 38 degrees angle of depression, they are congruent because they are alternate interior. So I'm just going to say that this is 38 degrees. And so our reference angle gives us, we have opposite and hypotenuse again. So that's going to be sine. So the sine of 38 is equal to opposite, which is 28 over x. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to isolate x. And x is going to be equal to 28 divided by the sine of 38. So I'm going to use my n over d feature and put 28. And in my denominator, sine of 38. We get 45.479. So I'm just going to round to the 10th. So x equals 45.5 feet. A tree casts a shadow 26 feet long. When the angle of elevation of the sun, so the angle of elevation, remember, is inside, is 68 degrees, find the height of the tree. So we're looking for this vertical line x. So our reference angle 68 gives me the opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is tangent. So the tangent of 68 degrees is equal to x over 26. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to see that x is isolated. So we're going to say 26 times tangent of 68. We get 64.35. So that gives me 64, and I round to the 10th, 0.4. And again, this is feet. A plane takes off from LAX airport and ascends for a distance of 3,200 feet. If the plane traveled 2,400 feet horizontally, this is our 3,200. Find the plane's angle of elevation. So this time we're going to be looking for an angle measurement. So with the information given, we have adjacent and hypotenuse. That's going to be cosine. So the cosine of some angle is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. We're going to cross multiply. Oh, forgive me. No. We're not going to do that, are we? To get x by itself, we simply take the inverse. Okay, so I'm going to take the inverse of cosine on both sides. Sorry about that. Remember, when you're finding an angle measurement, Ms. Thomas, you're going to use the inverse functions. So x is going to be equal to the inverse of cosine. And then we have 2400 over 3200. So second function cosine, n over d is 2400 over 3200. And we get about 41.4. So if we're rounding to the nearest degree, we're going to say 41 degrees. Number 5, when attempting to stop at a stop sign on an icy road, Jerome slid through the intersection to a nearby 15-foot telephone pole. So that says 15 feet. The angle of elevation of the telephone pole from the bottom of the stop sign was 70 degrees. So that would be this measurement here. How far did Jerome's car slide from the stop sign to the telephone pole? So we're looking for this distance. So our reference angle gives us opposite over adjacent. So that is tangent. So the tangent of 70 degrees is equal to 15 over x. So we get 15 is equal to x times the tangent of 70 degrees. We need to isolate x. So x is equal to 15 over the tangent of 70 degrees. So n over d feature, 15 tangent 70. And that gives us, we round to the 10th, so it'll be 5.5 feet. Number 6, from the top of a lighthouse, the angle of depression of a speedboat is 23 degrees. So again, angle of depression is looking down. So this part right here is 23 degrees, which means this angle is also 23 because they are alternate interior, which are congruent. The boat is 100 meters from the base of the lighthouse. Find the distance from the top of the lighthouse to the boat. So I'm going to use this angle as my reference angle. So I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So that's going to be cosine. So the cosine of 23 is 100 meters over the hypotenuse. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to divide. And I'm going to use my n over d feature. 100 divided by the cosine of 23 gives me 108.6. If we round to the 10th, and this is meters. 7, from the top of a post, Felix the cat sees a mouse across a small pond. The post is 10 feet tall, and the width of the pond is 12 feet. Find the angle of elevation, the top of the post from the mouse's location. So that would be this. That's kind of hard to see. Let's see if we can switch out a color right quick. So this angle is the elevation. It's always the inside. So this is what we're trying to find. So we are given opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is tangent. So the tangent of some angle measurement is equal to 10 over 12. Remember, when we're finding the angle measurement, we're going to use the inverse function. So I'm going to take the inverse of tangent on both sides, and x is equal to the inverse tangent of 10 over 12. So second function tangent, my n over d, 10 over 12. Try that one more time. 10 over 12 gives me 39.8. So I'm going to round to the nearest degree. So that's going to be 40 degrees. 8, from the ground, a rocket is fired vertically into the air. A camera on the ground, 25 feet from the launch point. So this would be 25 feet. From the launch point is an angle of 74. This is going to be 74 degrees. At this angle, how high will the rocket have traveled when its nose appears in the camera's window? So we're trying to find this distance here. So our reference angle is opposite over adjacent again. So that's going to be tangent. So the tangent of 74 degrees is x over 25. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to see that x is isolated. So I'm going to say 25 times the tangent of 74. I get 87, rounding to the 10th, 87.2, and this is feet. Number 10, looks like I'm missing number 9. From the top of the Ferris wheel, the angle of depression of your friend on the ground is 61 degrees. If your friend is standing 30 feet from the foot of the ride, how tall is the Ferris wheel? So we're looking for how tall the Ferris wheel is, the angle of depression. So the angle of depression right here is 61, and we know these two angles are congruent. So this is also 61 degrees. And this part is 30 feet. We want to know how high the Ferris wheel is. So we have opposite and adjacent. So that's going to be the tangent of 61 is equal to x over 30. We're going to cross multiply. And x is isolated. So we're going to say 30 times tangent of 61 gives us 54, about 54.1, and that is in feet.